Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Figuarts Narudi Sakuraka Kaku Haruno Ko. No. And I don't know that much about this character. It's been a while since I've watched Narudi. It is my favorite anime, but I stopped watching it after like the Buu Saga, something like that. It's been a while. Anyway, last time I reviewed one of these guys, you guys told me how popular this character was, so I thought it would be good for me to review it. And so when I was talking to my Big Bad Toy Store contact, they asked if I had anything I wanted to review. And I said this one would be good, so they sent it. No strings attached. I'm still going to review it how I review everything, as is always the case. I've never gotten anything in compensation for a review to go a certain way, and that's not going to be any different here. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And so let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alrighty, before we get into the figure, let's take a quick look at the package. It is a more basic package. The Narudi ones aren't maybe the most interesting, but they do look nice. I think One Piece still has the crown for the best packaging of late, but Narudi does have the best figures of all the main lines, so that's a good thing. And so that's why I wanted to review this figure. So let's go ahead and do a quick question of the day before we get into the meat and taters of the review. Why is this your favorite Narudi character? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, here we go. She stands roughly, almost exactly 5.5 inches the way I have her posed, which is kind of a neutral pose. And that's going to be about 14 centimeters, pretty close. Here she is up against Darwin. And so relatively close, I would say, to 1/12 scale. Okay, so first glance, I notice 3 things. 1, I like the overall look because of the shading they did on the main vest thing. That looks pretty good. And then there's enough contrast between the different molded parts and the few bits of paint that are on there. It looks pretty good overall. However, the second thing I noticed is some parts, specifically the shoulders, are very plasticky, and that's because they did a weird thing with the shoulders, which is the third thing I noticed. The shape at the joints, the sculpting at the joints is not great. I don't know what they were thinking on this one. We'll see about the knees. I don't think they look too good, but her arms look really fat at the elbows, and the shoulders are just kind of weird. So some good, some bad. But the other thing I noticed, which is just kind of an aside because we're doing the aesthetic part, the details are really nicely done. Like her face looks very good. Bandai's been knocking it out of the park with the tampo on the eyes for basically all the figures, but they've looked pretty good lately. The paintwork for the zipper on her jacket, it's nice. The shading really sells it though, I like that, and then the really, really clean zipper. It's not a bad looking figure. If you start to look for those problems, you'll see them, but it'll definitely look nice in your display. Really, the worst thing for me is the shiny shoulders. I don't care for that, but it still looks good, so I'll give it an overall rating of 8 out of 10 for the aesthetic. Now for the accessories, we do have a total of 5 faces. You have the neutral face that comes on her in the package, then you get one kind of, I guess it's angry, then a happy one, then a yelling one, and then an anime face of like, also anger, I guess. I don't know. For hands, you get the 2 fist hands, and then a small variety of pose hands, which should be enough. And lastly, we do get an effect part, which is nice. She gets a little spiky turtle punch of her own, so that's a decent spread. It's not the most, but it's not meant to be the most elaborate figure, so I will give it an 8 out of 10 for accessories. Okay, now it's time for the articulation. I have a hunch it's going to pose pretty well, but let's find out. I think the first thing we should do is pop the face off and see. Oh yeah, we have ball pegs in the upper area here and in the lower, so it should pose pretty well. Even with the hair being in the way, it should be pretty good. But I'm guessing the hair's going to pose some limitation to posing. But I think mostly it's all right. The bottom part of the neck is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. Definitely could be better. But you can also use the top. You just have to do it more purposefully. Yeah, it's not too bad. The hair and banana down here do get in the way a little bit, but mostly it's pretty good. The neck area looks a little off just because the gap is just a little bit too noticeable up against the pale skin, but it's not a huge deal and you're probably not going to notice it that much. I don't know why they didn't just, like, that shouldn't be part of the collar. Like, the skin part in there should just be hollow and they should have that connected to the neck. I don't really care for that flesh collar right there. up underneath her actual collar. All right, for the shoulders, let's see how these butterflies work. This appears to just be a cap. So, yeah, just a ball peg in there. Looks like there's not much going on really for the butterfly itself. It's just a little bit of extra range, I guess. For the shoulder, let's see. You do get your full rotation, though it is not a good-looking shoulder. And you do get your full range. Why did they do it this way? I've never seen Bandai Japan do a figure like this, and it is ugly. It's functional enough, but it is ugly. Don't like that at all. Not what I'd come to expect from SHF. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbows. Not bad. It's kind of a natural bend. Humans can't do a 180. I was expecting a little bit more bend out of that, but that's perfectly acceptable. That's reasonable. Then the wrists are on little tiny ball hinges. That's all right. For the torso, whoop. Okay, well, her whole head and neck will come off if you aren't careful. Feels like a hinge actually at the top and then a ball peg at the bottom. Not as much range as I thought it was going to have. It's kind of limited. Let's pop that back on. And I mean, it's fine. Like, it's definitely not bad. I was just expecting it to be a little bit more. Let's see going forward. Yeah, it's not bad, but it definitely could have greater range. Going to the side, it's acceptable again. Not a whole lot. Even rotations is somewhat limited. Yeah, it's just not as much as I thought. This is a very thin piece, so it shouldn't get in the way too much, but let's find out. What do we have going on here? It might get in the way. Let's see. Bring the leg forward. Yeah, you get to horizontal, so that's pretty good. That's not a problem. That's all right. Going back. She does have butt cheeks sculpted on the hard part, so you're not going to get the leg back too far. Kind of a bummer. Not absolutely necessary, but I don't want butt cheeks on my figures. I want the legs to be able to go all the way back for a frontward and backward split. Speaking of splits, not bad range. Yeah, so the hips work well enough. Thigh swivel is just a standard cut, which works perfectly for the character design on both sides, so that's good. Double jointed knees, not as ugly as I thought they were going to be. It's a little bit ugly, but not too bad, and the range is definitely decent, and when you pose her, it looks all right. Other than the fact that the bottom part here is painted, and this part are both molded, so it's a little off-putting, but it's hardly noticeable, so that's okay. And then for the ankles, going back, you get decent range there. Going forward, really good range. Ankle rocker is basically unlimited. It's a really ball hinge, and then you actually technically have a ball peg, not just a swivel at the top. So the ankles have all the range you could want. And then the toe hinge is well placed. It's a little bit loose, but it's well placed and well sculpted. So I will give them that. So, articulation on this figure, not as good as I thought it was gonna be, though definitely not bad. You should be able to get any posing you need to do done without too much trouble. Unless you're trying to do anything crazy, and then you're not gonna have much luck. But it's decent. So I will say, articulation-wise, what do we have limitations? Just the torso, really. And then the shoulders are kind of weird. I will go, for SH Figuarts, I'm gonna go 7. Don't like the shoulders, don't like the limitations in the torso. Otherwise, it's pretty darn good, though. I wanted to go 8, but these shoulders are not my cup of tea. So, anyway, time for a final verdict on what is probably the most popular character in the Naruto franchise. I'm gonna say this is a strong release. It's certainly not a bad one. It puts most of the One Piece figures to shame, since those have been kind of an unfortunate situation so far for most of them. I'm gonna give this one an overall rating of 8. It's a solid buy. I think if you're interested in the character, it's one you should pick up. If you can look past the glossy shoulders, it's gonna look fine. And if you don't look at it from the back, the shoulders aren't a problem. So yeah, it's a solid release. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos every day but Wednesday, except for right now. I'm not uploading regularly at all right now because I'm still trying to finish the renovation. Once that's done, we'll get right back to every day but Wednesday pretty soon, hopefully. But otherwise, I do have thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.